This episode of Cinema Swirl was brought to you with the support of our backers over at patreon.com/Cinema Swirl. $5 OTP backers get instant access to every episode of our exclusive monthly bonus show Cinema Swirl, where Kevin and I review bad movies. And if you're in the mood for more Fincher, well guess what? We reviewed Alien 3 over on Cinema Swirl this month. It's available right now. In fact, it's the film that we watched first. We watched that before 7, but you can listen to them in any order. So if that sounds of interest and you want to find out more, head on over to patreon.com/Cinema Swirl. Right, let's get swirling.
Cinema Swirl! Man, that's 16 spleen. It's episode number 116, coming to you from the splenectomologists of Hollywood, California, looking at all of the spleens, which are like the breaker's yard of Hollywood classic movies, where we take them, break them down, and see if they're fun, with me, Kevin, and my OTP, who's not seen any of them, Sam Chaplin.
Hello, splenectomologist? Is that real?
Yeah.
You said it with confidence. I liked it.
I said it with confidence, in the way that I'm confident that I have a fine spleen right now. I don't want to make any assumptions, but let's all take a moment to be thankful for our spleen. Dare I say, the least loved of the organs.
All right.
Come on, when's the last time you saw any spleen love whatsoever? AKA, when's the last time you ate a spleen? Never.
I've never eaten a spleen.
Me neither. I've eaten all the fucking organs.
Welcome to Cinema Swirl.
I've eaten systems of organs and I've not touched the spleen. Welcome to Cinema Swirl.
Yes.
Today we're getting off on a gruesome foot because it is in fact a delicious Fincher's supper. We're having a David Finch special.
Yes, we're having a Fincher's tea, and if you want to understand what that means, you'll have to listen to the Cinema Swirl. We did the Swirl first.
We did.
So we've already swirled some Fincher work. We watched Alien 3, which is available now.
Which is still, inexplicably, after having watched and reviewed it, a movie that was directed by David Fincher. What?
Yes. So now we want to see some good Finch.
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty confident here with the offering of votes that there was going to be a banger of an episode here today. At the very least, a movie. I'm very confident you're going to like this. Quick little refresher for those of us not on the Patreon page, Sam. What is your experience with DF?
David Fincher.
David Fincher.
I have seen the ones that it makes sense for me to have seen.
Don't be doing that to me, because I've literally today had two separate iterations of he's not seen that from my own wife, Joe, the intern. So you, for an absolute fact, there's no guarantee whatsoever what you have seen, for sure.
Right. So I've seen Fight Club, right?
As many times we've talked about here.
Yeah,
you know?
I've seen Fight Club. We've all seen Fight Club, all right? I've seen Fight Club.
When they were looking at your GCSE English exam, they're like, this guy's seen Fight Club.
Yeah.
A star is what I'm saying right now.
Seen Fight Club.
It.
I've got it. I've seen The Social Network. I've seen that.
Okay.
I haven't seen Gone Girl, but that is against the rules. It's it's just slightly too recent.
I would like, as we're here in the spleen zone, in the breaker's yard of the organ system that is the 116 episodes of Cinema Swirl, I want to take that concept in here and smash open the corpuscles of it and see if there's any amino acids and essential fluids that we might reclaim, because I think the idea that we can't do movies that came out after Cinema Swirl started, that's a nice rule, if you want to have rules, which I think we do like the idea of having a few rules.
Yes.
But that was the first time where I thought that rule may not be fit for purpose.
No. Well, we're into our 10th year of Cinema Swirl. Like, we're coming up to that decade anniversary of doing this, which is, that's wilder for me to think of than you've had a decade anniversary of podcasting in general.
I've had many decades of description, but you're coming up to your big 10. This is like what it's like when you have a friend who's turning 30 and you're like, I've been there, man, it's fucking crazy. I'm like older now, man, it's just fucking wild, you know?
Yeah, but maybe that rule might have to be revised, because at the time it was like, oh, nothing that came out like, now is going to be classic, but it's 10 years ago,
Yeah, I think, I've been having some discussions about this with folks, and I believe the 10-year rule would be be a fair rule. However, I do realise that we're on the cusp here with the 10-year rule, that I still feel that Gone Girl would have, in fact, even under our new rule, just missed out.
Yes, just. But I don't. Okay, send us in your thoughts about this. The rule currently is that we can't watch a film that has come out since Cinema Swirl has started.
Sam, you know what I think we've got brewing up here?
Yeah.
I'm very excited to say I believe we've got brewing up the first ever 2014 special, the best movie of 2014, and then the worst movie of 2014 over on Cinema Swirl. It only makes sense.
I don't hate it, and that would be a lovely anniversary treat, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
To do a 20. Okay. All right. Yeah.
You thought you were getting new rules. Instead, you're just getting tenuous plans for new content.
Hold on. I'm making a note of it.
Listen to him, the absolute mad chap.
Best and worst of 2014. Can't even think what came out in 2014, apart from, of course, Gone Girl.
And that is when the door is opened to you, the Cinema Swirl fan base.
Yeah.
Those of us who might like to look back in 2014 and pretend it's not 10 years ago. It's more like 2 or 3 years ago, right? And those of you who have become skeletons from hearing that information, just ask a mate or a family member, check in with them and get them to send the email at cinemaswirl@gmail.com on your behalf.
So I was 23 back then, Kevin. Oh, remember those days?
I do remember those days. It's really, I thought I'd lose all memory of those days. I'm not sure why, because I heard this thing a while ago where I was like, oh yeah, you stop making those kind of memories after you're a certain age. I'm like, nah, I have much better memories of 10 years ago than I do of further back periods.
Yeah.
It's a golden era, you know? Cameron's Britain, it was the big society, we were living large. That's right, we're putting on rose-tinted glasses about an objectively bad period in national and international history. 2014 though, the calm before the storm though, you gotta say, it was a pretty decent calm.
Right, so... I've seen Fight Club. I've seen The Social Network. I haven't seen Gone Girl. I haven't seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which would have qualified.
Yes.
But...
Same rules.
Didn't pop in the vote.
Well, if I was to ask you now to rank the 3 David Fincher's movies you've seen, and also addendum, he's not seen Mindhunter, I've asked.
Yeah.
But if you were to rank Social Network, Fight Club, and Alien 3... if ever a chortle let you want to go behind the paywall, there it was.
Yeah.
Where would you rank him, Sam?
Oh, I honestly think it's Fight Club, it's Social Network, it's Alien 3. I think, first, second, third. Simple.
Some of the Social Networks I've seen recently, mate, it's pretty... Makes Fight Club look like church. Sunday at Mass.
Makes Alien 3 look like Alien 2, am I right?
Am I right? Am I right?
Hey.
What are some of what you believe to be the David Fincher things? What are the things?
There's a grit to them. There's a slight darkness, I think.
Darkness.
But, it's still with a humour, a levity, but a kind of...
Humour and levity.
I think he's quite a fairly stylistic director, maybe, and the music tends to be good.
Yeah.
Although that wasn't really the case with Alien 3, from what I remember. It was not memorable anyway, but that was his first feature. What are the hallmarks of a Fincher? What are the Finch marks?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I've had enough of a sample size to fully say what a Fincher looks like.
And that's exactly what the amateur ornithologist said to the other ornithologist who had more experience because he gave up more of his weekends.
So I remembered an extra Fincher fact that I know.
Oh, please!
That he was due to remake the Channel 4 series Utopia for HBO, but he didn't. And then it was passed on to someone else, and then it went to Amazon, and then it was shit. But I was very excited for that, because I really loved Utopia on Channel 4.
Kind of like Channel 4's version of Lost, isn't it, Sam?
Yeah. So
yeah.
I would have watched David Fincher's Lost, but it didn't happen. But that's a niche fact. Aside from those films that I've seen, I don't know too much else about Fincher or those Finchian hallmarks.
Yeah, I would say you probably picked 3 rather different-ish movies there. I think what we do today is probably going to be like fucking pure concentrated. Like, if those other ones were like a David Fincher consomme, you're about to have fucking David Fincher Bovril injected straight into your veins here today, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Because it was one of those votes where I was more interested in seeing what the fight at the bottom would be, because I was kind of assuming what would come out on top. It was the runaway success story of Se7en.
Yes.
It had over 70% of the vote last I checked.
It had over 7 votes, and it won. We're going to be watching 7. Zodiac did very well.
Oh, it's a fucking... That's like probably one of my favourite movies, top 5, I think, of all time.
Wow.
And I've only seen it... I saw it like on New Year's Day when I was kind of a bit tender and vulnerable. Me and some folks watched a little bit of Zodiac, and it says a lot that here I am less than 3 months later, and I really would have been down for watching it again, you know?
Wait, you've only watched it this year?
Oh, no, I'd seen it before, but like,
right, yeah.
I would happily watch it
watching it again
many times. It's a very fucking good movie. This is one that has probably a bit more renown to it. I think everyone knows of this movie, which leads me to my first question, which is, what do you know about Se7en? Because it's one of these things that the less like cases of movies we've done before where it's like, oh, TV shows and other movies have taken from this. This feels like memes and video games have fucking done a supermarket sweep through the visuals, aesthetics, tones, etc. of Se7en.
Yes, I have my little joke to make. Kevin, I haven't seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Come on, get out of here. What's that going on? It's patreon.com/.
We got to take it off.
Swirl. If you want to hear the uncut version of that joke where Sam tells it like it is.
So, I feel like I know a decent amount about this.
Oh, okay.
It's got Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and controversial person who we'll have to talk about at some point in this, Kevin Spacey. And I know that Kevin Spacey's the baddie, and I don't just mean in real life. He's the villain of the piece, I believe.
Okay.
I've seen bits of this. I know that's the thing that I say.
Yeah, how, where?
Okay, right. I've bookended it. I've seen the beginning and the end. I've seen the title sequence, and I've seen a meme-ified version of what I think is the end of the film.
Okay.
I've seen those. The title sequence I had to watch for media studies, genuinely. Because we were doing...
You didn't think to, like, keep watching the movie?
Well, I was like, I've got presumably the best bit here. So I think the title sequence is very, like,
that's
scrolled
so
and...
That's like the... Do you know what the actual task of the lesson there? It wasn't to do your thing with the title sequence. It was probably a surefire way they thought to get you to watch Se7en. Yeah. And you're like, oh, that's it. Did you like have it on DVD or something and then take it out?
No, we all just watched it collectively, and then I was like, right, that's... We watched the title sequence. So
now I understand why Joe was so incredulous, because I think she did media studies in the same university, so I think she had to watch it as well.
To be fair to Joe, this was A-level media studies, so this was when we went to the same uni. But again, I didn't take that as what was clearly, as you've suggested, a recommendation for go on kids, go and watch this film.
You would have seen Fight Club at this point.
Yeah.
Did little teen Sam not think, oh, maybe I'll watch a second movie?
No, I was like, I've got my one movie here. I'm going to keep watching that one. No.
Please tell me you had a reason why you were like, yeah, I'm not watching this. Like, was there something that was taking your time over? Were you stuck into a game, or you just deep in the lore of Lost? What was going on?
I literally just haven't watched it. There's no mythical thing that happened that stopped me. I just haven't watched.
But that's like someone saying, I've never had a Big Mac. I've never had one. I've taken one in my hand and I bit into it and then I put it down. And then I left the McDonald's restaurant. But I've never had a Big Mac. I don't want to say it's obviously going to be for you in the first fucking 5 minutes, but
it's my sort of thing.
And you were 17 as well?
Yeah. You
were a 17-year-old millennial in 2000s who, for schoolwork, had to watch the start of Se7en.
Yeah.
What was going on in this country before I came over? Easy fucking baby town frolics, good lord.
So that's how I've seen the title sequence, which I seem to remember being scrawled notes and quite very dark and gritty, and we were kind of learning some techniques about how to do that sort of thing to build atmosphere for horror.
Unfortunately, kids, there's nothing else to be learned in the rest of this movie, so I'm going to put this DVD in the bin where I won't... It's gone, don't worry about it.
There was that. Now, the ending, which I think is the what's in the box sequence.
The famous what's in the box sequence, your favourite.
I've seen a version of that on a live stream in about 2009 where the...
In a live stream in 2009?
No, it was early, very early. Like I had to...
Were you on Justin TV? What was going on there?
I had to copy a link into VLC Player. That's how early this live stream was. Right. The box was opened and inside was Tom York's head singing the then new Radiohead song 15 Step. Which...
Sam, I'm going to break your heart. Not featured in the actual movie.
No, I know. But I've watched a pastiche, a goof of this on a Radiohead live stream in about 2009.
So in 2009, Radiohead were covertly seeking to destroy the credibility of this podcast, is what you're telling me.
Yes. They weren't satisfied with destroying the nature of buying albums at a regular price. They thought,
I can't believe this. I never thought in a million years I'd be living in a world where Billy Keeble somehow hasn't spoiled an episode of Cinema Swirl, but Tom York has.
Tom York has, yes.
What are you doing, Tom? Haven't you got enough friends to ruin movies for without doing it for my friend as well?
So, I know that there's a box and that's a climactic part. I know there's a title sequence that I've watched.
Jeez, I wonder if you'll guess what's in the box.
Well, I mean, I've got a suspicion.
You know when people say they prefer Radiohead's earlier stuff? I agree. I prefer them when they didn't ruin good movies for my friend Sam. You know, that's the era, you know, the kind of even pre-2009 really I'm more kind of an affinity for, I find.
But Kevin, I would argue, much like a Big Mac, the beginning and the beginning and the end are not the best bits. I haven't seen the juicy middle, you know? I haven't had the secret sauce.
The juicy middle.
I don't know how we get from that title sequence to Tom York's head in a box. I don't know how we get there, and I want to find out. Now, is there also there might be a big lad eating donuts or something, but I also think that might just be The Simpsons. I'm not... I know there was that.
Tell me about the big lad eating donuts. What's the context for this?
I think he's made to eat donuts until he's had too many donuts.
I mean, I don't mean to ask the most open-ended, impossible to answer question ever, but how many donuts is too many donuts, Sam? Because I don't know if I can come up with a figure nor a rational explanation for that question.
It's more than 12, I would say. Because I reckon I could do 12.
Oh, I do damage to 12 for sure.
Yeah. So maybe 24.
24.
That's too many.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know, there's a lad who sits to eat too many donuts.
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
I think it's a creative murder. You know, this was not. When was this? 90s, mid 90s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel we're going along kind of Saw territory here, which was later, but I imagine Saw was inspired. But it's one of those creative murders, I think. You know,
right? So a murder that makes you go, I know there's a dead body, but really makes you think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But why is there a dead body? What happened to that dead body that was ironic or fitting for the person who was murdered, or maybe the murderer themselves?
Now, I was going to ask you to open up the funeral document there, but I realise I'm then not specifying anything about my ceremony of bereavement. I'm specifying how I want to die.
Okay,
and also adding an asterisk of, it seems like I want to be killed specifically, and I'm arranging for my own murder. So I think I might stay away from that, because that's just maybe a red zone.
How do you want to be killed?
I mean, you just said it there, Sam. A bit of intrigue. No, not the donuts. Imagine that, because one of my last thoughts could be, I don't like donuts. I don't want to go to my grave with that in my heart. But one that makes you think.
So like maybe an ironic podcaster's death that would be like, oh, he loved talking, but now...
Oh, yeah.
We've made him swallow a microphone.
he shoved down the throat, like, you know. And then Brad Pitt's like, I always told that asshole to use a pop shield. Yeah, and then they put on whatever they're saying, they're putting on gloves when they say it as well, like, you know.
So that's about all I know about Seven. I also know that the title is spelled Se7en.
Se7en.
Se7en. Yeah.
Se7en.
Fincher has fun with numbers in his movies. It
is.
The Alien 3 was like a little, you know, to the power of 3. Cubed.
I mean, in the late 90s, Sam, if you were a maths teacher struggling to reach the kids in the inner city or whatnot, you'd be like, you think numbers are so bad? Dig this.
Get a load of this.
Show show them 7, like, you know.
Yeah.
And every time that came up, which would be often, it's a recurring number, a character, if you will, in the world of mathematics. Those kids would think twice about what's so lame about maths after all. 7 what? Like, why 7? I'll give you a hint. You actually, one of the things you know about the movie could be related to the number. I'm not confirming what you know about the movie is correct, by the way.
In my head, I'm like, does he just eat 7 donuts? That's not many.
That's hardly any, like.
Oh, is it?
I've done 7 donuts, yeah.
Hold on. Is it a deadly sins thing?
Hey,
right, okay.
Very good.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Sam, I'm very excited to find out what are the 7 deadly sins. Give them to me.
Eating too many donuts.
Not eating enough donuts.
Okay. Gluttony.
Yeah.
Envy.
Okay.
How would you die of envy? Oh. Sloth.
Yeah.
Killed by a sloth.
I like as well that you know that it's the sins and also the way you would be killed hypothetically by those sins.
Yeah.
You know?
I put the pieces together here. Pride.
Which famously happens before
a fall. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
that's
perfect.
how you die then, you know?
Being a bastard.
Yeah, that's one.
No, hold on.
Being a bastard. I know they say being a bastard before the fall. That's right, yeah.
Pride, envy, gluttony, sloth.
Levity,
sleepy, dopey.
If there was a 7 dwarf called Levity, that would have been, you know, much needed.
Having a laugh until you...
It's having a laugh.
That's the way.
You're missing a couple.
Yeah. I should know stealing.
Yes.
Stealing.
It is.
Well, there's one that's like anger, but it's not anger.
No, you're
like
missing. It is close to anger, but it's not exactly
grumpiness.
Anger. Grumpiness. Orneriness.
Yeah.
You know what? A couple of things are apparent here. One, Sam's clearly not played enough of the Hitman DLC packs.
No.
2, I really want there to be a Magnum 7 Deadly Sins limited edition that's called Stealing.
There's a goth and rocker pub in Nottingham that does 7 Deadly Sins themed cocktails.
Oh,
so
really?
That's my reference point when I'm trying to remember these in my mind. I'm trying to look at the little menu that shows you which ones.
Well, Sam, maybe before the movie you'll go down for the drip and have a bit of a drap and you'll be able to tell me what
Maybe
the other deadly sins are. Well, I'm very excited. I think you're going to have a good time.
Lust.
Very good.
Thank you, everyone.
It must be lust. Love of lust.
Boo. Some sort of sex death for that one, by the way. That's,
like VR sex.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, it's 1997, so it's like, oh, why'd you do that? Like,
it's fucking 9 Inch Nails music video of a death. You're like, my willy's been fed into a machine. But I like it. Okay, all right, guys. You have fun down there. Right. So I feel like I know quite a bit about 7.
So, okay, you got a pretty good bet. I think you're going to enjoy it. I think you're going to have a very good time. You know, it is a movie that when you see it, you'll go, oh, that explains like 99% of other movies that have come out that are even tangentially related to this genre. It, in fact, will make you feel the way most people hope you will feel after you see something like Akira. And be like, oh, it's everywhere. It's like, well, you'll really see it here because you've played video games.
I have, yeah.
You'll be blown away, I think.
All right.
And not much more will be said on that front. But until then, let's zip open the 7 mailbags. Zip.
Welcome to the 7 mailbags.
I'm not closing these again.
Thank you as ever for all your questions, queries, comments, and other stuff to cinemaswirl@gmail.com.
That's cinemaswirl@gmail.7.
Now, I've spent so long listing the 7 deadly sins that we might only have time for like one of these maybe, so I might say.
Oh no, we're not doing 7 deadly mails.
No. So this one comes in from Michael, who writes the following: Dear Sam and Kevin, brackets. Well, mostly Sam, because Kevin has evolved beyond music, as we all know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's very good.
What's your favourite score or soundtrack from the movies you've seen on Swirl or Swell? Which one would you most like to see performed in concert? And Sam, which one would you most like to write and perform your own arrangement of?
Oh, that's a fucking good question.
So, in terms of favourites for me, I think from Swirl, The Warriors is always gonna... That was just a... But the Rocky films are also very, very good.
Yes, indeedy do.
Now, with Swirl, I can't remember if I've gone on about this on Swirl, like not behind the paywall, but The Exorcist
We've had
2,
a lot of good, we've a lot of very good soundtracks over on the Swill series.
There's one song from Ennio Morricone's Exorcist 2 soundtrack.
Sam got me the vinyl of Exorcist 2. There's been many a movie that Sam has saved from being flushed in Cinema Swill simply because the soundtrack was so fucking bopping.
And that one is particularly fucking bopping. Holy shit.
Fucking good. Oh my God in heaven, it's good.
It's worth the movie existing so that song exists.
Yes.
Kevin, any thoughts on favourite scores, soundtracks from the films we've reviewed?
I mean, I think anytime we have John Carpenter, it's always a good time, right? You know? And I feel he's got a lot of songs that I've always, like themes for movies that we've done that I've always loved, like Halloween or The Thing or whatnot. But I think when we did They Live, it made me really appreciate his incidental bow, do, do, do.
Yeah.
He's got a great sense of perambulation through his music, and
yes,
I think a director / composer, that's a powerful fucking jewel wielding a class there. I want that in my party in Dungeons and Dragons. Yes, please.
Well, that's a concert right there. You know, John Carpenter doing the hits of John Carpenter. I don't know if that's already... he has done that.
He has done it, yeah. He has done it quite a bit, you know. And he likes video games as well.
He does.
He does.
I don't know if this is recency bias, but as we've finally completed the Rocky Balboa series, I think some sort of concert of Rocky songs throughout the years would be an absolute hoot and a holler. That would be a fun time.
It would bring me to tears.
Yeah.
I saw a concert in Manchester, I think early last year it would have been, and it was an orchestra that were like, oh, we're going to do all the Lord of the Rings music. And I was like, awesome, great. I was at the height of Lord of the Rings fever, as those who've listened to the Hobbit 2 review know. That was my peak of Lord of the Rings fandom, which is now all but been extinguished by finishing the Hobbit movies.
Sure.
But I remember like thinking I'm going to get like super emotional when I hear all the fucking, you know, because when you hear a big fucking orchestra filling a big ass room, it just gets you. And then they didn't have enough Lord of the Rings songs, so the composer would turn around with a piece of printed off paper and go, now we're going to do a song from Pirates of the Caribbean. Released in 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean was the first in a long going, and all the emotion was drained out of me, like. Particularly because when they did the main score from Pirates of the Caribbean, there was a noticeable hey in the audience.
Yeah.
Like, oh no!
That's not what you want.
No!
But Rocky's got enough of, I'm going to say it, a punch to, you know, keep delivering those tunes. It's a gig. That's a gig.
That's a gig, and you can put up like an image of Paulie on screen at moments, and people will go, boo, we hate him, yeah, and throw stuff. It'd be like Rocky Horror, but get you into it.
Still need to see Rocky Horror, by the way. That's on the old list. In terms of writing and performing my own arrangement of anything.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to do Rocky for the way you were talking there.
Well, I mean, yeah, maybe some Rocky hits, but again, that I can't remember the name of the song, but that one from Exorcist 2, I just want to learn to play that on guitar, because it's Ennio Morricone, but it's like proper like fucking, it's kind of punkish.
It's very rare that you listen to music from that mid-70s or late 70s, whenever it was, and it's like, that sounds like music from 20 years from now. It's very strange. It's like finding cavemen with VCRs. It's unnatural and amazing at the same time.
So I might still have a think about my own personal arrangements of songs. But
I will be the spider in the ear of all of my incredibly talented musical friends and be like, yes, please do all the music. And I'm going to sit in the corner, eat sausage rolls and bop along.
So thank you, Michael, very much for that question. And I just wanted to say very quickly, Josh from Blackpool, thank you very much for your lovely email. There's a lot of praise for us in it, so I'm not going to...
Oh, good. Forward that to me, actually. I'd like that, please.
It was very nice to read.
Could you print it off for me and quick laminator
Yeah.
job, and then
post it
overnight. Thank you, FedEx.
I think I'm going to zip back up all 7 of these mail bags and, you know what? I don't like this. No.
I told you I didn't want to do it.
No.
Here we are.
Oh.
Every impressionist has got a blind spot. I can't do the zip closing back up very well, all right?
Yes, but you pulled from another impression that I don't like. All right.
Well, Sam, I think you're going to have a whale of a time. I think it's time to get settled in. I think it's time for us to delve into the sick, twisted, dark, tonal world of Se7en. Let's go do 7 cinema swirls. We're back 7 times. Sam, initial gut reaction to 7.
Okay, to do my initial gut reaction. Right, I've just realised whenever I set up an initial gut reaction with preamble, that doesn't make it seem like an initial gut reaction. But
there are 7 initial gut reactions. There's
Okay. I need your help with this.
Okay.
I need you to say, teenage Sam Chaplin, what was your initial gut reaction to 7?
Okay, it's going to pop in the old time machine here.
Please, if you could.
And worryingly, going to go back in time to talk to a minor. That's going to get me on some sort of time travel list, I'm pretty sure. I'm not going to be allowed back in the past after this one. Teenage Sam, what did you think of 7?
That was the best thing I've ever seen. Oh my God, it's amazing. And also, adult 32-year-old Sam likes it as well. That's one of my most convoluted initial gut reactions.
It's a bit, particularly because it felt like the use of time travel to go back
it was a waste.
And confirm something that Sam, who's right here in front of me, already agreed with, and I'm going to say parroted. So I feel like this isn't a tale of two Sams here. It felt like you enjoyed it, and your inner teen enjoyed it as well.
Inner teen enjoyed it more. Inner teen enjoyed it more. I think inner teen would have been mildly obsessed with this film and been like,
really?
"Oh my God, it's like so fucking good, man!" I could feel that energy that like little me, little teenage me.
I love how it's happened a couple of times on this show where we've watched a movie where you've correctly identified it, like it would have bound itself to you had you been at that earlier or more plastic, easier to manipulate form as a youngster, so
whereas now I'm all old and hard and you can't
it's kind of all it's tight and in there. What is it? You could take it as a positive or a negative.
Yes.
The negative version of this question is, what is it that adult Sam didn't like about it that you would have liked about it? Or the positive, and I'm not going to keep talking to a hypothetical teenage version of yourself, so bin the positive there. Why did you hate it, Sam?
I don't hate it. I like it. I think it's actually quite simple, but it feels complicated. Like it feels kind of dark, like to a teenage mind, quite like, oh, this is like a dark, deep fucking, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
There's enough space and breathing room and also style there.
Yeah.
With the requisite substance that you can immerse yourself and lose yourself. And we've had a lot of tweets from folks who were just saying like that, just the aesthetic of that movie, like dominated their entire teen and early 20s. Like that was the thing they thought was best. And they're not alone in that, because as I'm sure that clocked by now, a lot of movies, a lot of video games, and a lot of everything else has been like, oh, I'm going to use that 7 times.
Here's your template, enjoy it, make the most of it. But yeah, I tell you what, it was very watchable. I fucking watched this film, my God. I
breezed by, didn't it?
Yeah.
For over 2 hours. And that ending sequence is like half an hour long. I couldn't believe it. I was like, all right, home stretch, getting ready to finish up here. I'm like, oh no, we still got a ways to go. And yet, boom, blink and you'll miss it. It just it's a vortex, this movie.
More than maybe any.
More than Alien 3? Are we more than Alien?
Yeah. More than Alien 3.
Alien
this
3.
was, but more than quite a few of the Swirl films, I was fully like engaged with this. Like I was just enjoying watching it just as a film. Not necessarily as like, oh, I've watched this for the podcast, but it's also good. It's like, I'm just enjoying watching this film, tappy making some notes.
That's a good sign that it was able to pull you in like that. You know, but you were still able to do your job.
Yes, still very much able to write down some bits and bobs about this.
Work on a pretty tight ship here on Cinema Swirl. It's a 7-strike warning system. So, you know, if you don't watch the movie, strike 1, shame on me. 6 additional strikes, shame on you, friend.
In a way, every episode is a performance review.
It is
for me,
for you and for me,
both of us.
You know, for both of us. Yeah. You know, and that's why I'm happy to announce that Sam Chaplin is the inaugural 7-star co-host of Cinema Swirl. You've earned it. You very much earned it, and the sky is the limit for you now.
Thank you. And my prize is a £10 Love to Shop voucher, which will come in very handy because I love to shop.
He does. He loves to shop. He does. Yep. It's true.
Right. So, 7. We open on Morgan Freeman putting on all his cop gear in his quiet little apartment/house.
And it's very, very interesting how he comes across here. You know, very particular fellow. Notice he puts on trousers, shirt, and a jacket, and his shoes, which says a lot about his character, I think.
Yes. I mean, this film feels like it's got a few, you know, film cliches in it. Like, he's a detective close to retirement. Like, it's nearly the end of the road for him. Like, he's coming up to his last day.
And he's bordering on obsessive compulsive, get out of town, you know?
And we got like a plucky, kind of new, young, more, you know, spunky and energetic detective in Brad Pitt as
Yeah,
Mills.
and like, notice Brad, he puts on his shirt, tie, socks, shoes, no trousers, dick just hanging out there in the wind, kind of a wild card, loose cannon, on the edge.
Yes.
It's our dream team, Somerset Mills, which I've just decided makes really good cider.
Oh, yes.
Come on.
A nice glass bottle of Somerset Mills on a summer's day. Can't get better than that.
I like the tall bottle. It means I can see where my table is when I go to the bathroom.
They've got Somerset Mills in that fridge. Have they? I'll spend £6 on a bottle of cider then. So, right. Here's the thing. Brad Pitt, he's got a shirt. It doesn't look ironed.
It's aggressively crumpled shirt.
Yes, that's some good costuming right there. It tells me a thing that I need to know about this guy. These two don't get on. There's a bit of friction to begin with.
Chalk and cheese, I'd say, Sam.
Yeah. And that cheese hasn't been ironed.
It's not, you know, and they visit a crime scene, which is a crime of passion.
Yes.
And passion being the first deadly sin. And over on our Patreon page, we've done Alien 3, which had a repeat appearance from longtime favourite character in Cinema Swirl, Colin Cum. And I've heard of Colin Cum, but Colin Questions? That's what this guy is. He's all like, were there any witnesses? Like, this is fucking crazy. He's straight arrow, crazy cop. Whoa, you want a murder weapon? Your Majesty?
So there's this little kind of preliminary murder case that's not one of the main ones. It's just to introduce us to our two, right? Right. When Somerset, Morgan Freeman, goes home, goes to bed, he puts a fucking metronome on by the side of his bed.
What's going on there?
I would fucking hate that. Like,
oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
So I'm a man who likes nighttime sounds when I go to sleep.
Okay.
It's just something that I've grown accustomed to. It is a luxury of modern life. I like white noise. I like a babbling brook, although we're still gathering data points that makes me more prone to wee in the middle of the night. I love an ocean, yeah? But if you give me birds chirping or a metronome, I might as well wake up. That's the worst. Awful. I'm
sorry to anyone who's listening to this while they're trying to sleep. As listeners have told us they do sometimes.
Yeah, I know they have told us in the past, which I'm very confused by, but I still appreciate it. Is there anything that screams, I am committed to the life of a single man, than a single bed with a hard carved wooden bed frame and board That guy not taking any wife.
No, he's a solitary figure.
I mean, that bed looks like you could be buried in it if they put a lid on top, you know? It's a horrible thing.
It's practical. You buy one thing and you use it for, the whole way through. We've got our two guys here. I wonder if by the end they might realise they've got more in common than we thought. Get on.
Well, you and I have been doing this podcast for nearly a decade, and I think we've realised we've nothing in common whatsoever.
No.
So I don't expect, them to. And I was going to ask. There's a gruesome twosome on screen here.
Yeah.
Which one of us is Somerset and which one is Mills? Because I struggled to identify with either of these broken men.
So I'm a kind of young, sexy, new Brad Pitt kind of guy, coming in.
I think like the 2 years you have on me qualifies you for a Brad Pitt young stud type of scenario.
Yeah. I think, in terms of that kind of cool guy attitude and also the physique, I think
obviously
kind of is where I fit in.
And Sam also dresses like Max Payne, like Mills.
So, Kevin, it's time for one of the bits of the film that I've seen already.
Yeah, and I've written down here, I'll lay out for the title sequence. Let's let the expert take us through. Although you may be quivering in your boots, Jo revealed to me that when she did this for her A-levels, like you. Yeah. So I'm thinking that there's some media studies teachers who had the same resources pack floating around the middle of this country. But she got a perfect score on it. So I'm just saying I have a benchmark for your analysis here, but take it away. What's your analysis of this intro package?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of pressure now that we've got star student with perfect score up against what I have to say.
Yes, Jo, I see your hand up there, but I want to give Sam a chance. I want to give him a go.
It's scratchy and sort of like rough in the way that murder can be scratchy and rough.
Enough about Brad Pitt's unironed shirt, Sam. Let's talk about the intro sequence.
It's kind of from the perspective of the murderer, who we don't even get introduced to properly until near the end. You see some stuff in this that you don't realise is, pertinent until the end. So it's giving you... It's a very DVD film, even though it came out in the mid-90s. It's giving you reason to go back and have a little look and be like, that's when he's, like, scraping the tips of his fucking fingers off, or that's when he's...
The thing, though, is that your analysis here seems to be very dependent on you having watched the whole movie. So I'm thinking you maybe didn't get 100 on this when it came time to put in your A-level work.
It's very mid-90s. It looks like Reagan magazine, but for murder. That's a design reference for people there. It's got that real, hey guys, there's no rules. Let's just put stuff wherever and like make it messy and make it kind of
take it from a former teacher. I've corrected many a biology GCSE paper, looking through it going, this fucker hasn't seen 7, fucking 0, X, rip it up. Like.
But look, I think it's a very effective tone-setting title sequence.
And familiar music as well, Sam.
Yeah, it brings me closer to realising that relationship with Trent Reznor has been going on for longer than we may have thought.
Have you heard the 7-inch nails? Because they're deadly. They're fucking deadly.
I noticed something in this, which maybe comes in the later credits. So Kevin Spacey, who we'll have to talk about at some point, but he's not credited in that title sequence. He's only credited at the very end, which is very fitting given the way this all shakes out. And now...
So just because you could watch this now and think, because attitudes have changed. We've removed him from the start of the movie.
Or, more cynically, like, you're tricking people into being like, this film will be fine. There's no Kevin Spacey in there.
I will say, to bury the lead a bit there, hell of a shock if you didn't know he was coming.
Yes, but I did know he was coming. But that would have been now, more than ever, an unfortunate shock and surprise.
I've been shocked like that since we watched The Lone Ranger. I'm like, wait, that old Native American man is Johnny Depp? But he's a member of the tribe. What the fuck?
Oh, no. Hey, I quite like the fact that this is broken up into days. Like, we get Monday. It makes it feel a bit sort of Craig David-like in structure.
Well, Sam, there are 7 deadly days. If you didn't know that as well.
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
And Friday, Saturday.
Friday, Saturday. Oh, if you had the Sunday Magnum, though, fucking hell, it's good. It's good. It's full of gravy and dripping.
So it's Monday, and first, you know how it is at work. You're only having to investigate your spaghetti murder on blood. I hate Mondays.
Spaghetti murders. This felt like a Garfield thing, because as we all know, Garfield hates murder, hates Mondays. And he loves spaghetti. Now, everyone knows that he loves lasagna, but spaghetti will do.
Yeah.
You know, it will do.
He's not going to say no to spaghetti, is he?
Of course he's fucking not.
No. So I was wrong in thinking that this was donuts. I definitely just pictured the Homer Simpson in hell thing.
You did? You did, but I'll have you know, you had made such an impact on me that it was all I could think of during this scene.
Yeah.
I don't want to say you ruined it, but you certainly altered the intent of this scene, because I was like, looks like this guy ate 7 donuts. Damn. Put on the gloves, you know.
Somebody phoned Guinness. I think we've got a record here. That's a very sort of 90s quip, isn't it? I like that.
Yeah, because now if they did that, somebody would be like, well, actually, Guinness aren't actually, you know, I know Guinness World Records is an established brand, but it is ultimately a tool used by, look, there's some reading I'm going to send you on, okay? Which after the murder is solved, you need to check it out.
It's very horrible, this whole bit. You know?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Make me think twice about eating that 7th donut today, Sam, for sure.
Yes. And you had your vomit bucket ready under the table, but...
I did. I was hot to trot, you know?
I didn't quite expect the full naked, dead big lad with the penis out and everything.
The balls as well, actually. They were all there. And when he was going through and the guy's like, this is the duodenum, this is the incredibly enlarged stomach, and there's a little willy there, you know, I thought he was going to go... You've got the tools. Pick it up with the forceps. Move it around. Let him know. They'll never learn. Otherwise, he's a new detective.
Yes. They're trying to kind of work out what's happened here. And the autopsy guy, what's that job called?
It would be a coroner, I would think.
Yeah. He's saying, well, he kind of died by eating, but was he kicked a bit? Was that what happened?
Thrashed about a bit. I think he died of being a bit sad as well, you know.
Yes. And so Somerset, Morgan Freeman, back at the office, has got an idea of where this case and this sort of thing is going. And he's like, I don't want that to be my last thing. And this guy, Brad Pitt, ain't ready for this. He's not ready.
He's a rookie, Sam. He's a greenhorn dick, and we can't have that.
Oh, come on. I've done murders before. No, you're not like this, you aren't. And he's right. It is more than, just one
proper 7-course meal, this murder.
Yes. And that first course was a lot of spaghetti.
It was too much. I think it was going to skew the rest of the courses, but I'm not the chef here. Yes. So they have immediately split up the team on the basis of the fact that he's going to be retired and all that. And I was like, no, not the team. We've been together all Monday.
But you know how it goes, Kevin. Tuesday, another bloody murder. We're going to... now it's a defence attorney. The best defence attorney in town has been murdered.
There's something written on the ground here. I think it's the second deadly sin.
Yes.
Green. Agreed.
It's one of those things that's trying to trick you. They've written green, but in red, and you're like, what colour is it?
I'm kind of colourblind, I think. Don't do that to me, movie.
The word greed, written in blood on the carpet. It's quite funny to think about the murderer doing that.
That's going to be tough,
Yeah. Imagine you fuck that up. You can't just put a bit of Tipp-Ex down on the carpet. You've got to get that right first try.
You'd have to change the entire kind of nature of the murders, Because if you messed up that green and say, oh no, I've done an extra bit, I have to keep going Greedo shot first. It becomes like a Star Wars series of themed murders. And then the prequels come out at the end of your murder spree. And that throws the canon of my murders all off.
I like that when they're trying to kind of tempt Somerset back into this case, now that he's they're scraping the sign off his office door while he's working in it, which I really like.
I don't think it happens like this anymore, because it used to be a proper country and a proper justice system. But I don't think detectives are approached by their chiefs and they go, we've got a clue, and they give it to you like an item in your inventory. I feel we've strayed away from the basic point and click elements of police work.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite cute. They're trying to be like, oh, look, we've got this little clue here. They fed the big lad some plastic. I'm just going to put that there, and if you want to have a look, you help yourself.
It gotta be some sort of crazy good detective who's too brave to have a partner to solve this, I would think, Just think. Anyway, I'll just leave the metronome on there for you, and I'll catch you later, all right?
But he falls for that trap, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and it is true what they say, Sam. The detective always returns to the scene of the crime, and there he is. Oh, how satisfying was it when he used his little knife to cut open the sticker on the door. Yes. I'm going to put stickers all over the house now and just do that all week.
His little knife gets a lot of use out of it. I do like it. I felt like it was Chekhov's switchblade at one point. I'm like, something's going to have to come of that later. And it kind of does.
Kind of.
But not.
He's prepared.
Yes.
He's, I think, a switchblade in this and this is what's great. The movie's got fucking designed to podcast about. There's enough vague bits that you can have a think about, isn't it? It really hands you stuff to think about. And there's no real wrong answers other than those of you who think that means that he's in a street gang. He's not.
No.
Not in a street gang. He's in the police. They're the enemies of the gangs.
Yes. Turns out behind the fridge, the word gluttony was written in Greece.
And let me tell you, that fridge, that had 10-count bean and cheese burrito in there. And that is, like you're getting value when they state the bulk nature of your purchase so plainly. Not family pack or 10-count bean and cheese burrito.
It reflects really badly on me that when I saw that fridge open, I saw those burritos. I was like, they're probably still...
It's not bad
probably
idea.
Still have one of them. Probably still
like if I'm ordering Papa John's, I'll be like, I want 10 count of the special garlic cum, please. That's what because that's the only way they're going to know that I've not made a mistake. Like I understand, I'm a supplier. I need all of this acrylic paint that tastes like garlic immediately. Thank you. 10 counts.
So, detective, we saw that the word stinky breath was written in the garlic cum on the pizza boxes.
Oh, no.
The worst sin of all.
Greed? Gluttony? Sam, it's clearly the work of the G killer. Look out for the next crime scene. That'll be grand. And then there'll be one that'll be good. And the most chilling of all, on New Year's Eve, the great stuff altogether murder.
So, what I would say about this film, stylistically, there's occasionally some nice noir-looking shots of, particularly of Somerset. I think he's kind of framed in a kind of like, he's old
classic
school.
Detective, yeah.
Yes. And
beautiful like silhouettes and stuff like that throughout. Yeah.
Nothing's more old school than going to the fucking library and reading boring ass books. Like, who's doing that? Whereas Mills, Brad Pitt, he's back looking at like photos which are cool and recent and modern rather than
you can't get that in a library, mate. There's two things about this that I really loved. Firstly, I, much like Somerset, want to get in a taxi randomly and say as far away from here as possible. That's you can't put that in on Uber. You'll get a bad rating. They'll be like, he didn't define where I was to drop him off. It was too figurative.
I think you can't say that in a taxi either. They'll be like, but where do you want to go? Like
I'm scared to do that because I'm sure I've told the story, but like my first night in Glasgow, I was in the city and I wanted to go back to where I was now going to be living for the next year. Yeah. And I got in a taxi and I said, "Can you take me here, please?" And he had started driving and he went, "Fuck no!" And he pulled over and kicked me out.
Oh.
And that was an actual place in Glasgow.
Oh, no.
So what do you think would happen if I walked into his cab and I said somewhere far away? He'd be fucking raging. I'd be dead.
The reason why Somerset is looking at all these dusty old books is he's looking at all the 7 deadly sins details. Back in those days, you couldn't just Google it. You had to Google it in a library with books.
You had to ask Jeeves in a library, even worse.
Yes.
Now, did you think he was doing this just for the thrill of the hunt, or was it for the purpose of making what is essentially a tutorial level in an envelope for Brad Pitt's character?
I think it's a bit of both. I think he wants to keep doing the investigation, but in his mind, he's like, I'm leaving some bits for this young guy to keep going with it. He still thinks he's out of the game, but he's not. He's not really. He's
in the game.
He's in.
Come on.
Very, very funny on Wednesday that after being given those recommendations from Somerset, Mills has got an officer to go get him the Cliff's Notes on like the Canterbury Tales and stuff. He's just getting the little summaries so he can fit in. But
he became a cop strictly to avoid reading, Sam.
Yes. It's not like... I quite like that Brad Pitt's character is not a complete dopey, useless idiot.
No.
Like,
they're the two different types. Like he has skills and smarts. They're different from the other skills and smarts.
Yes.
But what's interesting is seeing them being presented with the same conundrum and how they consciously and unconsciously help each other. See, easy way I said this, every little bit in this movie feels like, oh, you can pull a thread on there, you know?
Yeah.
You want to have a decent chat on your first date, and you pop on a movie, and you want to save up some talking points for later. Fuck off, Akira. You'll never get anyone interested. But this one, if they can stomach it, not bad. Look, my parents saw Aliens, the first movie they went on a date to. Seven could be your romantic spark in your life.
Give it a go, listener. You know, see what happens.
But it's like safe mode. You can say any old shite and you'll be right. I think Somerset's cool. That's valid.
Yeah. And he is cool. So Mills, Brad Pitt's wife, calls and wants to speak to Somerset.
Oh, he's in the new office now. Huh?
Yeah.
Doing well.
She's invited him over to supper. This is like, what? How long have they been partners? Is it literally like a couple of days? And she's like,
2 days.
Come over for tea, new boss.
Sorry, Sam. She's not getting him tea. He's just scored himself a free late supper. That is different ball game altogether. If you're having a tea, you might get a soft drink or a glass of milk with it. It will be sustenance. If you're having a late supper, there's going to be wine. There might be a liqueur after the fact. There could be late night coffee. They might even bust out the Nescafe and Ferrero Rochers and after eights. Proper meal that. Just dunking your after eights in your melted Viennetta because it's the late 90s and you're a king.
Use an after eight as a Viennetta spoon. My God.
What if they made an after eight Viennetta though? You know what I'm saying?
There's a mint
the top
one.
layer. That's not the same.
Okay.
I want the mint cum. I don't want the flavour. In the layers.
You just want all the various food cums. The Papa John's garlic cum and the Viennetta mint cum and the after eight mint cum. Combine those into one.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. That's fine.
No, that's actually horrible. I don't actually like mince that much. So
no, I don't either.
Congratulations, Sam. You've talked me out of brushing my teeth this evening. Touché, sir.
I used to always have a joke that I wanted to do about not being able to afford mint chocolate chip ice cream, but being able to afford chocolate ice cream and brush my teeth. But it doesn't work. But there's something in it. There's something in that idea.
But you and I know very well the types of jokes that make an audience collectively go, I see what you've done there, grimly. And that's kind of one of them.
It's not a laugh riot. It's just, yeah. Right, Gwyneth Paltrow is Brad Pitt's wife in this.
Very good in this. Very, very,
very good. Makes the most of her short amount of time on screen. There are dogs in the Mills household.
Yeah, and I like that they've kind of given up hope. It's like, look, there's big dogs here. This is the room with dog shit in it. And it's covered in, hey, did you miss me, boy?
And I was very worried about Stanley's post-surgery dander here.
Oh, yeah, because he could get dander up and that could cause internal injuries.
Yes, but he was fast asleep, so it was fine. He's doing all right.
Well, Stanley, for those who don't know, is actually one of the 7 deadly dogs that's out there.
Yes, he's one of the devil dogs, the deadly devil dogs.
Very, very, very dangerous.
A vicious character and needs to be stopped, but I'm not doing it.
Honestly, I feel it's cruel to the animal. I think it says more about the owners, actually.
A kind of moment of levity here in the apartment that they bought. They were only shown it 5 minutes at a time because the entire apartment rattles massively with the subway going by, which Morgan Freeman's character finds very funny. Everyone finds funny. It is a laugh.
It's not a laugh though, is it? It's not a laugh.
It's the sort of thing where you'd be so tired from dealing with it that you would laugh about it to someone else.
Yeah, it wouldn't break you, but it would break you down. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It could be in more small, manageable, malleable parts. I remember when my brother first moved to the UK, he moved to Edinburgh, and his first flat was like right by the train like this, the whole place. Like I remember watching a DVD with him, it was like 2008, and the DVD skipped. It was so rattly. And I was like, honestly, I know there's a recession and all that. You should emigrate back. You should just
it's not worth
emigrate. It's not worth it. Is that what it's like here in the UK? All rattly. Awful. I don't know. Have you ever lived anywhere that had like a recurring intrusion? Might necessarily be a noise. Could be a smell. Could be a bright light.
Don't think I have. I've been relatively all right in terms of external noise and vibration factors. in my living spaces.
Yeah, we've been very blessed, both of us.
Yeah, we've done all right.
Yeah.
It could still go wrong from here on out, but we'll...
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows where they're going to... This crazy Andy Burnham here in Manchester, sure, he'll probably be building a railroad through my front room.
Bloody knowing him, mate.
B network, more like F network. Fail army, get on that, yeah?
So basically, Gwyneth Paltrow and Morgan Freeman here, they get on really well. There's a little... It's very sweet. And you know what? All three of them are getting on and having a good time together.
It's a very nice scene. It is the equivalent of the save room music in Resident Evil. It's a nice little port in a storm.
Yes.
Or not a storm that's not yet to have fully encompassed them. But it is very nice. And can I just say as well, from a top tier fiddler here, that is next level S-rank platinum sealed napkin fiddling from Somerset
some of the best.
Here. Yeah. He's got them all here. He's made the dagger. He's made the spear. He's made the knuckle duster.
Yeah. Absolute fiddler in a positive way. So that they decide post-supper to do some very cute late-night murder investigation. They're just looking at all the case files and stuff. There's this whole pound of flesh thing.
Where would you cut yours from?
Oh, my willy, mate, and that'll probably do it. You know, that's yeah.
I go the same because you only need one to survive. So you know it's fine. Like
I'm trying to think, I'd maybe cut my arse off. I don't know, would that work? That's pure flesh.
Yeah.
No bone.
Like, I feel like there's either going along the lines of, because I've watched all the Saw movies not that long ago, so I've had this thought running through my head quite a bit.
And fuck me, this film has inspired Saw. Jesus Christ.
Has it ever?
Yeah.
This literally, like, just spawned this movie.
Particularly the first one. Like, it's the same thing. Like, okay, yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Nothing wrong with that. No, just the similarities are, in fact, quite glaring. But like, you're making the decision here with the pound of flesh is, am I either going to kind of maintain the status quo here but increase the discomfort factor? Because I think if you removed your arse or a bit of the love handle or a bit of the sternum, you're going to have residual pain there for a long time.
Yeah.
Or are you just looking for a whole new life? Because I just cut off a leg then and be like, new life, new me. This is the new Kevin who only has one leg.
But you're not allowed bone, are you? It's got to be flesh. So you got
That's all right. I can I'll have the skeleton. That'll be all right then. I have the skeleton leg, and Sam. I said it before, and I'll say it again. With the right trousers, I can pull it off.
Yes. Yeah. So this is like if you were to sort of have a character creator and you put Dry Bowser's leg on one of your legs.
No, you have to buy 5 season passes for the Mario Kart app before you get the entire skeleton. I'm just got the leg for now. I'm saving up my Mario bucks, you know.
The shaky subway goof comes up in the middle of the serious stuff, which is quite fun. It's like, oh yeah, remember, it's still happening.
The most endearing thing that Brad Pitt's character does in this scene is he asks Somerset if he wants a beer, and he's like, no, wine's fine, thanks. And Mills comes in with this very big glass full of wine.
Yeah. That's a good glass of wine.
Great stuff.
That'll do you.
That's a big glass of wine. And there's a very interesting bit here. They start to kind of talk about the various philosophies on life. There's kind of not necessarily saying that, one of them is cynical and one of them's optimistic. They're both cynical but have very different reasons. One's kind of like has a rational view of why the world is this way and he just accepts it. It's not great, it just is. Whereas Brad Pitt, he is cynical but in a more of an emotive way where it's like, everyone's crazy or like the world's fucked, man. He doesn't look at the fucking scatter graph. And there's a bit here where they're looking at some of the reports and he's like, well, this is the world where they found out that if you scream for help, people don't come. If you are like a rape survival course, they'll tell you to shout fire instead because people always come for a fire. So next time I lose my phone in the house, I'm going to scream fire and I'm going to get that really quick.
I was going to say, is that true? Do people run towards where someone shouting fire is?
I mean, if I had some weenies ready for the roast, perhaps. But typically, like, I'm not I'm not a frontiersman. I'm not going to like, oh no, the fucking township. I'm not going to get a pail of water for my donkey and ride down and fucking throw it on the burning church or whatever it is. Yeah, I think that's a very 90s mannerism right there. Oh yeah, run towards fire. You just look at it on your phone now, wouldn't you?
I've definitely heard that little snippet before, regurgitated to me by other people who I think have just watched Seven and taken it from Seven and taken it as a fact and used it. It might well be a fact. It probably is, but
and there is a good chance that if it was at a house party, it was a man with a guitar who told you that, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he was holding his guitar while telling it, so he'd be like, "Did you know that you should actually shout?" You should scream fire. So when you're going to sing your song at the house party, you scream fire and everyone knows to come in, and join in the fun.
And that's when you start Wonderwall. So they head to the defense lawyer's wife, the guy who's been murdered, his wife, to show her pictures of his office from the murder scene, which they've tastefully covered up the dead man with like Post-it notes, which I think is a very like lo-fi solution, but I like it. You couldn't just.
That's nice.
Yeah.
It's tasteful. It doesn't shy away from what's happened.
No.
At my funeral, I don't want the picture of just me, looking all happy or whatever it is with a wreath by it. Pictures of the cadaver with tasteful Post-it notes.
Okay.
Because then some people could go, that could be someone else with two penises then,
So pictures of you dead.
Yes.
But covered up.
Tastefully.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking you.
Yes,
I trust your taste, Some loose cannons out there and they'll put the fucking Post-it note all over the wrong part of me or whatever.
So you were discarding the photo of you looking all happy, but I think you should take one of you looking happy pointing at the photo of you. So they discovered that the painting in the office is upside down.
Oh, it's such a point-and-click mystery, isn't it? They use their inventory, they interact with the scene, they're going back to places. Someone needs to make the LucasArts 7 game now.
Yeah, and to be honest, the murderer in this, John Doe, he'd be great at programming a point-and-click adventure. That's the most positive thing I'll say about him. Behind the upside-down painting, not in the painting, not on the painting, behind it, written in fingerprint,
gasp,
is help me.
The third deadly sin.
Help. Greed. Gluttony. Help me.
It's why you shout fire instead of help. You don't be declaring one of the deadly sins. I know it's going to come towards that.
So these two are partners in crime. Partners in solving crime.
Bit of downtime, Sam.
Yeah, a little bit of downtime. They're waiting for the fingerprints to be matched to the thing, and the guy's like, lads, look.
It's 1997. What can I tell you?
This can take up to 3 days. Whereas nowadays with,
apps.
AI, you could just do that in the blink of an AI.
And if you pay for the premium version, there's no ads and you're allowed to frame someone.
Yeah. But I thought it's very cute that on Thursday, and the Thursday is right in the middle of them, they wake up having slept on a sofa together. It's quite cute. They found the print match, so I guess we've got our murderer. Guess we've got him, some guy called Victor, and to the
Here
Victor
goes
the spoils. Immediately, Somerset and Mills are like, well, we know this is not going to be the guy. Like, he's not just given up after 2 sins.
You never know.
Well, yeah.
And the SWAT like to go on that kind of notion because the SWAT love doing their SWAT stuff, And if you ever want to see a group of people who love what they do, you need to see the SWAT team from 7. John C. McGinley. Yeah. That scowl's only there for show, isn't it? He's really happy. He's loves
having a great time.
He's having a great time.
There's a little conversation on the way between, I keep wanting to say Mills and Boone, but it's Mills and Somerset. That Somerset has never shot his gun in the time that he's been a detective. Mills has shot someone.
So you know this situation where, like, if he's at, like, parents' career day or whatever it is in school, and he says that, all the kids be like, he's a real cop.
But he can't remember the name of his mate who got shot, his police mate.
Oh, he's very good at doing this very particular kind of, like, I don't know. He's like a jock, but he's vulnerable and he's angry, but he doesn't know that he's either of those things.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to watch the wheel. I gotta say wheels because there's only one because he's a big dumb himbo. But that wheel is turning fast, going.
So, the SWAT team burst into this house. They all called detectives dicks. I don't know if that's a thing.
Oh, yes, because a dick is a private eye. It's an investigator.
Oh, right. Dicks.
They could have also said shame I get in here. Shame I being the plural of Seamus, which is also a term that you can use.
Something about a bedroom full of air fresheners feels bad. Like, they're all hanging down.
Good has come out of that. Although I will say, if you were looking to make an indie music video in 2004, not a bad aesthetic.
No, that would do the trick. And this is our sloth guy. It's our sloth murder. What? So what? Right.
He's a zombie.
What's happened with this guy? He's just been like drugged constantly all the time.
He's been drugged. He's had his tongue cut out.
Yeah.
Hand has been removed for the fingerprints. They put tubes in his genitalia. They've done all sorts of nasty stuff to him. Basically made him a shut-in. And that's bad.
Yes. It's a year in the making, this horrible murder. And the lad's not even dead. Like, he's still alive in his scary zombie state. The zombie bit is horrible. But that's we've got sloth. Now, there's a photographer coming up the stairs taking pictures.
Fucking paparazzi, man.
We don't really see his face. And I, to be fair to me, clocked that this was probably a naughty murderer getting his beak in, having a little...
But, like, any lad wearing sunglasses and a hat is fucking dodge, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but I also thought that the murderer was the taxi driver from before, and that I don't think that's... I was a bit, getting giddy.
Sam operates under the mindset of everyone is a murderer, potentially,
yeah.
And that's a safe way to live.
Any character you don't quite see them is the murderer. Tracy, Gwyneth Paltrow, is calling Somerset to be like, can we... Hi, after that supper I really fancy you, can we have a chat? No, she wants to talk privately in the morning. Weird.
In the diner, and she's basically got no one to talk to in this new city. They've come from upstate New York, where it was kind of a more rural, peaceful life, but they thought they wanted more excitement. She doesn't know anyone here. She kind of more or less just figured out she hates the city, And I will say that's, as someone who's lived in a few cities over the years, I don't think any sort of advice of like, it'll grow on you. Like, you'll know within 20 hours if you want to be in a place. You'll know. And he gives her a speech when she reveals that she is, trying to get pregnant with him, but she's kind of scared about growing up here. What kind of a place is it for a child? And fuck me, Somerset, the anti-father speech here, where he's like, yeah, I fucking ground my partner down into a fine nub until she had an abortion. And I'm glad I did it, and every day I regret it.
Oh, okay. Hey, Somerset, thank you. I really appreciated having a chance to chat. Wow.
Right, next sin, stealing. Let's get on with it, yeah? Yes. It's the next deadly sin.
Can I just say that when they're talking about the murderer, looking at books and shit and knowing stuff, Brad Pitt says, just because the fucker's got a library card doesn't make him Yoda. I think I like that 90s snide. I like
it does, yeah.
Those sorts of quips. Oh.
And it's very chilling as well, because Yoda, obviously a very friendly character who we're all in a great deal of respect. A dark Yoda is a very, very unsettling image, and I don't think we're quite ready for that as a society.
No, we've had baby Yoda, but murderous Yoda, no thank you.
I don't think so. No thank you.
Now, there's no good FBI bureau freaks. They've been...
Use your words!
They've been checking out what people are reading in the library.
What?
No one talks about that. That's like a hidden thing that they do.
Was it pre 9/11? You were just fucking twiddling your thumbs. You've alphabetized all your records and all your N64 games. So now you're going to make a big long list of everyone who's taken out a book on fucking Helter Skelter or whatever it is.
So Somerset's got a contact in the bureau who has run the details on all of the 7 Deadly Sins books and who's taken them out. And they found a guy. They found John Doe. And that name is, a little bit on the nose, isn't it? That's,
His original name was John Female Deer, but they thought it was a bit of a mouthful.
It's just a little bit, just for me. But again, as a teenager, I'm like, that's so cool, man. He's like an anonymous guy. Oh.
I think I'd say, like, as a teenager, but that's cool, man. That's like Homer, like my favorite Simpson. John Doe, like... It's one of the he's got to be one of the top Simpsons out there, Sam. I've said it before, you know?
So they do track down the murderer. They go to his flat and he's not there.
I love this whole bit. Is so great. It's one of my favourite scenes in the movie ever, I think. This whole bit for them knocking on the door to be like, maybe he's not. Bang, 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 bang. Big chase. You thought this was a slow movie? You are mostly correct, but not for this bit.
It's a very tense chase going through the various flats. People being like, he went that way. But just not, but silently, just pointing where he's gone. Brad Pitt running across cars in the rain.
Oh, he gets hurt as well. He fucking gets bashed up.
And John Doe always kind of shrouded in blur or hidden and in shadow. He's got a little hat on. We know that. But,
I feel like a million video games have tried to replicate this feeling that you get in this scene with the chase, where you don't feel like they're artificially putting him 4 steps ahead of you. This just feels like, I don't know. I know the outcome of this. I've seen this movie a million times. But the adrenaline surge every time the scene starts is fucking fantastic.
It's a good, very good chase. John Doe's got a gun to Mills's head, but he lets him live.
It's better than all the chase scenes in Alien 3, which makes me think that David Fincher had a point to prove coming into this movie.
Absolutely.
I can do it.
I think it's quite funny that, there's this scene where they don't have an actual reasonable legal reason to break into John Doe's home. They can't justify it, and the reason why they went in there is to do with stuff that they got secretly from the FBI. Fuck it. Kick the fucking door down.
Fuck it. Smash.
Kick it down.
Oh no, the killer's house is really cool. It's like he's made it from obscure assets in The Sims, like an X-ray board and a drawer full of locks and empty aspirin bottles.
He's absolutely paid extra for all the weird stuff on Habbo Hotel or something. Like you got all the little weird bits of Fernie in here.
You go into this Animal Crossing island and you're like, take me back to the airport. This place is twisted.
Yes. I've run out of games that I'm aware of where you make a little house. But,
Might I recommend Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth?
Okay, yeah.
One of the greatest games ever made.
Wow.
My DMs are open to exclusively just talk about Like a Dragon.
Recency bias. I know it's recently come out, but it could well be.
Bigger, badder, better. It's got Animal Crossing bit in it.
So, there's a dark room in the house with all the photos of the crimes all pegged up and drying out. He was the photographer from before. I was right.
Oh, no, you've discovered my I definitely did it room. That's the one with all the evidence in it. They also discover all of his blogs, which, because it's the 90s, they're all written in journals, which are not live yet.
No, these are, they're death journals in a way, because he's a murderer. Rather than being live journals, they're
very good. I see what you did there.
Dead journal. But he's written a lot of journals. Apparently, they'd spent a lot of money getting these actually filled with written handwriting.
Oh, I just figured it was David Fincher was one of the people who did The Pages, in inverted commas. Are you aware of The Pages?
The Pages? You told me about The Pages, I think.
I did The Pages briefly.
I did The Pages for a bit on your recommendation and then stopped.
It was during the pandemic where we all had a bit of like a
time.
Need of defragmenting the brain, so to speak. The idea being that every morning you wake up and you just write everything that comes into your head on both sides of A4. But then I realized that it was very much becoming I'm just listing my various anxieties, real and unreal here. That's like, and it's not helping my anxiety at all. So I ceased doing The Pages. But it could be for you.
Yeah. I always see people recommending journaling.
Yeah, like if you're like planning murders, write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah. But the problem with journaling is I associate journaling with stuff like this.
Exactly, yeah. Oddly, by being very open, you're making me think that you have something to hide.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
Now, John Doe, he rings up the apartment to say, all right, guys, just want to say, I admire your work, big fan.
Fair play, fair play.
Can we get a round of applause for the police? Like, he's fully just been like...
whip round for the police.
Great work, guys.
But see, what he had envisioned, Sam, really is kind of like a live service model for murders. So you've caught me, but I'd rather you catch me 12 more times over the next 3 years.
Yes.
And then we'll have our day in court.
So we come now to what I think is my least favourite of all the murders. I know you're not supposed to pick favourites or least favourites.
What, you don't like the dagger pegging murder? What?
No, I don't like the knife.
Nah.
Something about a knife strap, especially knowing that a British bloke made it.
That is worse, isn't it? Like, I'm kind of glad they closed down the steel mills because I don't want this to be made there. It's wrong.
I made weirder stuff than this. What about it? I put a knife on a strap on. I do what I like. Bloody Yanks coming in here having opinions.
It said a lot about the British, I thought, this whole scene. Yeah, they're at a very loud sex club where the worst pegging device known to man has been utilised.
Yeah.
And all I'll say is, for a movie that does have its fair share of random, scary, gratuitous bit, I appreciated the subtle touch, or the more subtle touch.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to know anything about it. Thank you very much.
It's too direct of a thing to think about, I think, is the problem.
It's horrible. Like, just everything about it was upsetting. And I hated how upset the guy who used it was.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I would have felt less bad if he enjoyed it a bit, at least. Like, someone got something out of it. But no, it's just all around bad times.
Everyone hated that. Everyone.
It was bad. Everyone hated, and everyone will remember that as well.
Yeah. So that's enough to make Somerset chuck out that metronome. That's the final pegging straw that broke the metronome's clicking mechanism. How does a metronome work? Do we know this?
I assume it's just like kind of a weight with a counterweight, you know?
It just goes.
Pendulum effect.
Yeah.
What have you, you know? But you don't need one because you can just sit in the corner and go, gut.
It's there. I don't know why that made me think that, but it did. So, what have we had so far? Gluttony, greed, stealing,
sloth,
lust, and now we're kind of rattling through them at this point towards.
We are. We're kind of. We're getting to the end game here now. We have another one of these scenes where they're talking about the kind of various philosophies on life and justice, etc. It's a great line here from Morgan Freeman. I'm coming up to my birthday, and this really rang true. Where he was like, "People just want to eat cheeseburgers, watch television, and play the lottery." I'm like, I think I'm going to do all three of those things on my birthday. That sounds like a great idea.
That's a great night in.
Fantastic.
It's the pride murder here. Just, I think, a woman who likes how she looks. We don't get much context for some of these killings, really.
No.
There's no real detail on what this woman has done wrong, per se. But the idea here is that she's had to disfigure her face. If she called for help, she would be saved. Or she's given the option to just kill herself with sleeping pills, which this is the most that it feels like Saw, like a real, like, if you do this, you will live.
Never die.
Yeah. I mean,
Mr. Fincher, I have a proposal for you. You must direct the third installment of the Alien franchise. Never die, Mr. Fincher. The choice is yours.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And then Hoffman takes out like a glossy photo of the alien and points at it. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. We need to do a Saw.
Yeah, we need to do a Saw.
I'm going to pay for hypnosis for you.
Okay.
And write it off against tax to find out definitively which ones you have seen. Because I know you reckon you've seen some Saw.
I've seen Saw 1. I've seen Saw 2.
Okay.
I think I've seen Saw 3. I've probably seen Saw. I don't know if I've seen Saw 4.
Oh. But okay, at least we know we're into the swill territory. So that's a discussion for behind the paywall.
I've seen Jigsaw from the Book of Saw.
Fuck, you've seen some good shite then,
Spiral from the Book of Jigsaw. Anyway, right. It's a massive influence, this film, on Saw, particularly that first one. The structure is so simple.
Chris Rock clearly was embodying this this movie when he did what he did.
Yeah.
What you do in 2022, Chris Rock? I made this bad movie and lots of gambling ads.
There's a slight sense that I know I said they're kind of rattling through these murders now, but there's a bit where the film is like, I mean, you get the idea. Like, you know, there's a bit where it's like, okay, we get the idea. It's the 7 deadly sins. We spent a lot of time on the first few.
It's a hook, but it's not the core of what the movie actually is. And I think in a way, I can kind of respect that, because at this point, I didn't want to see loads more crime scenes, loads more grisly photos. I wanted to have more of their interactions, their coming to grips with it. And I think it's one of the biggest strengths the movie has, is that just as you feel they're reaching the point that naturally the movie will be like I know, the baddie himself shows up right there with his bloody owl trousers.
Yeah, I mean, I love that reveal. That's the sort of shit in films that I'm like, that's great that he's just kind of showed up like, detective, it's me, the murderer with my weird fingers. Yeah, he's just given himself up. And after so long of not seeing him and not seeing what he looks like, for it to be revealed that he's Kevin Spacey is particularly horrible.
Devastating. Awful.
Yeah. It's a real problem, because I've got some good things to say about his performance in the final scenes, and that doesn't quite sit right, but we'll see what happens.
Look, he is obviously a very talented actor.
Yes.
You can't take that away. And as a man who makes his living professionally podcasting about professional wrestling, I'll tell you, you think this is a fucking rogues gallery? I've got news for you, friend.
So, John Doe, he's got 2 murders left. And Mills and Boone, they don't believe that he would just turn himself in at this point. It doesn't make sense. And they're right. He wouldn't just turn himself in.
And not only is this lad, he's got plans. He's got a murder rider, basically, it feels like. He has all these requests.
And it sort of falls apart a bit for me here, in that this seems like this could not happen as a thing. Yeah. Like, because otherwise I'll plead insanity, and I've got this good lawyer, and I'm independently wealthy, and I will somehow get away with it. But if you come with me, just you two, to come and find these additional dead bodies, wink, wink, they're not dead bodies, I will plead normal to murder. Wait. Well, I mean, I'm keeping that in because it's funny, but also, you know what I mean. He'll just be like, yeah, I done it. So... it's a very strange negotiation.
It is, and I think it does rely on you being a little shell-shocked from both A, the reveal of who the actor is, and B, just the reveal that this is the murderer, and all this other stuff that you kind of piece together immediately. Like, he was the guy in the stairwell, he was, that bit is meant to be like ringing in your ears so much so that you're not like, why isn't the DA really taking a lead on this, you know?
Yes. And as Mills and Somerset are kind of getting set up for this, they're shaving their chests to...
No.
No?
You know what, Sam? No, I'll never be a fucking rat. I'll never be a rat, because I swore an oath, which is I wouldn't hurt my chest hair, which can be a bit sensitive if I was to do that, and I don't want it to grow back in weird.
Have you ever shaved the chest hair?
I have not. Sam, I like what I got there.
Yeah?
Why would I? Why would I? It works. It works fine.
It works. It does the job.
It's fine.
It does what you need it to do.
I don't want to randomize it and see what happens if I shave it.
Give it a go. Give it a go. For a good cause.
I shaved my head when I was like a teenager.
Yeah.
And as a result, I have thicker, more lustrous hair than ever before. That was a benefit. I'm due a baden. So if I shave off my chest hair and it comes out like pubes then afterwards,
sure,
I'll know that the balance of the universe is... And I don't want the universe to be balanced.
No. But, as they're doing their little shaving thing to stick the little microphone on, Brad Pitt, was about to tell Somerset something. He was like, set himself up to say something, and then he kind of... no. And he just backs out. And that's one of those things...
Did I ever tell you about the time I bullied my ex-partner into having an abortion? Hell of a story. Have you got a moment?
That's one of those things where, like, there'll be Reddit threads about, like, what was he going to say? And loads of theories. But these two have got to the point where they're friends. They're good buddies.
They're palling about.
Yes. And they're all wired up and ready for this last bit here, where surely nothing can go wrong. We've got him banged to rights. It's fine.
Yeah, I got banged to rights. Yeah. Let's go on a nice, long, weird drive with them, sure.
Yes. And it's such a weird drive.
It is. This is what it was like when you had a big long road trip before podcasts. You had to talk to a
oh my God,
weirdo serial killer played by a freak like Kevin Spacey.
It's a good performance, though, isn't it? Right?
They'll dissect what I do here today, John, for many, many years in podcasts and poor taste documentaries on YouTube. I hate you.
The kind of slightly monotone, quiet, creepy delivery. It's good. It's kind of
very good.
engaging. He's talking about being like a man taking pleasure in his work.
But also that there's like a higher power involved.
Yeah.
You don't know whether he's just fucking with him because, you know, they are kind of picking holes individually in their own ways with his kind of his strange logic.
Yeah.
And I think the reality is he's a lad with a lot of money and time in his hands, and he's a sick man, and he got his kicks doing what he wanted to do.
Yeah. And this is like the only opportunity we have to kind of get that context and motive and backstory from this character. And they pack it in, my God.
And they find a way to kind of like, I don't know, like merge the two viewpoints of them, because there's a lot of kind of Brad Pitt banging on about justice, whereas Morgan Freeman's character is about like, we just pick up the pieces, kind of, document everything and all that. And it's kind of a little bit of both here, because you do get your kind of your justice, and you get him like dead to rights. He is confessed, he's right here, you have him. But also on the same token, it's deeply unsatisfying that even in catching him dead to rights, you do feel like you are just saving up diamonds in the hope that you get off a desert island, as he so beautifully says earlier in the movie.
Yes. Oh, that's a good line, isn't it?
Such a good line. I like that written in nice cursive font on like a piece of wood.
Yeah.
So every time I'm in the kitchen, I can point to that and go, that's what we believe in this house. And a gin a day keeps the doctor at bay, eh?
Whereas the quotes from Mills, from Brad Pitt's character, I want written on Twitter directed at people, because you're a movie of the week, a fucking T-shirt at best.
Ow!
Calling someone a T-shirt as an insult is fucking perfect. I love that.
I can't believe no one in wrestling has done that. That shows the lack of iconic T-shirts in the modern era.
You absolute fucking T-shirt. Brilliant stuff.
Taxi for T-shirt, mate. Yeah.
So they've got to their destination. There's a helicopter following them with John C. McGinley in it, being like, well, are we going to do some shooting?
The second movie with John C. McGinley in a helicopter that we've seen. That's great.
He loves it.
Feels at home in a helicopter, doesn't he? Yeah.
I think he loved being typecast at this point in his career. He's like, I love a go on a helicopter.
I've been typecast as the coolest character. Oh no.
So it's time for the big setup here.
And like, how does Tom York fit into all of this? I know what you're thinking right now. Like, I thought I heard Radiohead earlier, but it wasn't.
No.
It was just a trick.
Well, there's a van coming down the road. I don't know if that's the Radiohead lads all packing all of their gear into there. Turns out it's a package delivery for Mills. And Somerset is the one, Morgan Freeman, he's over there receiving the package, opening it. He uses his little switchblade, his little Chekhov switchblade to open the thing.
Cool.
That's a cool way of opening what is an uncool gift.
What was your mindset at this point? Because, like, for me, a downside of this movie, and I talked about recently on this show called the Movie Duel podcast I guested on, where, like, there's certain movies that, ones that have a twist or a big kind of, wow. And I don't say this is same to, like, some, like, Usual Suspects, which you can kind of argue is, like, once the twist has been foretold, it's kind of a slight diminished return.
Not seen it, so...
But, like, once I've been exposed to this, like, once they were in the car, my mind was on autopilot. It's like, I was, like, playing the movie ahead of myself.
Head in the box.
Yeah, it kind of took away from it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But for you had the bare minimum of it being spoiled by Radiohead.
Yes.
So where were you, like, what was your tension level? Because I feel this movie amps up the tension a lot, and it's pretty much non-stop escalation if you don't know what's happening, but you kind of do. So where was your tension level?
I kind of knew, and I don't know if this is through the Radiohead thing of it being a head in a box or through, like, general cultural osmosis, but I knew what was in the box. Like, I did know what that was. So there was a little bit, for me, a bit of an anticlimax, because I kind of know what the ending is.
Yeah, it's more like, I guess, like, something like Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? Because it's like the what's in the box cultural osmosis is up there with like the Luke, sure I'm your pappy. It's, it's like you're more likely to know that than to have seen the movie. Ergo, I think no one who sees this movie for the first time could ever have the experience that the people who first saw it, back... Because, I saw this in, like, I saw it on DVD in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Certainly didn't know anything about the ending, and nor had it been spoiled. Sure, I was hardly on Twitter because it didn't even exist then.
Yes.
So I kind of feel like it's, like, there's no way to manage this. You're gonna, even for you, who's famously seen no movies other than these ones.
But at that time,
I feel like you're gonna,
When you saw it for the first time, what was your reaction to this as a twist?
I remember, because I was just a fucking dumb teenager. I was like, "What's in?" I was literally like, "What is in the box?" And the way it ramped up the music and Brad's performance, where he's like, "Yeah, what's in the box?
Yeah.
Come on!" He becomes like 10 different actors in this scene.
Yes.
I remember being really worried that I had missed something or I'd forgotten something, because it felt like everyone, including the composer of the score, knew something dreadful that I didn't.
Yes.
But then it's kind of like you realize that was just their method of building up. So I remember being mad shook by it or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I do think it's quite impactful in the sense that my mind always, when it finishes this movie, is like, oh, he looks in the box and then the movie ends. But you do have
a bit more,
kind of the grisly aftermath, and
yes,
it's quite a depressing series of events that happens then.
So John Doe does tell Mills what's in the box, and that's in order to set up a situation where he himself, John Doe, gets killed because he has envy, which is a sin, of the normal life of someone like David Mills, and Mills has wrath.
Inside the box is a carefully curated selection of treats for your dog, John, made by dog lovers and dog owners from the world over. Inside this bark box is a world of fun for your dog.
What's in the box? Well, you'll have to find out on a monthly basis. So I thought I could see what the image of the decapitated Gwyneth Paltrow head in the box looks like. It's really weird. You can kind of, you know what I mean? You can kind of picture. I thought that was an image that was in the film. It might.
Oh, right, yeah.
No, it's not. You don't ever see it, which is good. But I kind of got that image going in my head of oh, we're going to see the thing. We're going to see the horrible thing that we don't want to see, and we just don't see it.
Maybe that was a tough day at the negotiating table with Gwyneth's people.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to be ahead, guys.
No.
There's literally so much more to her.
Tell you what, though, that would be a fun thing to film if they did that. Because you got to do the little thing of putting a box over your head and be wiggling about in it. Well, not wiggling about, but you got to get into it and get. They'd have to put packing peanuts and stuff in to disguise the. I think they've missed a trick there. But anyway, the plan works. Mills shoots John Doe, and it's all just sad and.
Yeah, it's not triumphant. There's no note of victory here.
I feel like I went on too much about being sort of disappointed that I didn't see a decapitated head, but I don't want to see it. But I thought it was coming, and then it didn't arrive. You know what I mean?
So you're telling me Radiohead delivered where Finchy Baby dropped the ball and the head, or didn't in that case?
Exactly. And then, we do kind of get a little bit of Morgan Freeman being like, what's the little quote at the end?
Andy Dufresne owes me 25 motherfucking cigarettes. A tall drink of water with a silver spoon up his ass. I don't know, I feel it's one of those things, it's not a bad thing, because obviously the movie made such resonance with culture and such an impact and all that. But I do feel from your recounting of it there that you didn't get the full 5-star experience.
Not quite, because of when I watched this and what I knew going in, I think. So I can just see. Oh, also the credits go backwards. The credits go fucking backwards, and it has Kevin Spacey's name in it. That's who that was. Look, and then it goes backwards to try and take you away from that. It's just I can tell. I mean, even the fact that he's in it and we know what we know now has sullied it somewhat. I know that if I'd have watched this when I was 15, something like that, I'd have thought it was the absolute bee's knees. In the same way that I kind of did about Fight Club, really.
Yeah, because it similarly also ends on a big whoa! It doesn't give you much time to think at the end. It just hits you with the big bit, and then you're like, fucking backwards credits. Well,
it does the Rocky thing of it doesn't go on too long after the climax.
It doesn't stay out its welcome. It knows the note it wants to leave you on. It doesn't want to dwell. It doesn't want to restate. It's just bam. There it is. The dirty fucking end.
It's quite as I said at the start, it's quite a simple and neat film. It doesn't do too much. It doesn't overdo play this whole thing. It does what it needs to do. The characters I enjoyed. They're all very engaging. It's just so, I won't say watchable again.
But like, the more you look at it, the more there is to see.
Yeah,
because it is a simple kind of detective case, whatever it is. But there's all these different bits to grab onto, and if you don't care about the kind of the philosophical differences between the main characters, there's every shot is fucking. This is one of these movies where you can pause any scene.
Yeah,
and I swear, like, it looks fucking beautiful. Like, it's very, very polished to seem like it's simple. It is the Gordon Ramsay equivalent of basic ingredients
done right.
Well.
Yeah.
Right well.
This has been done right well, this film.
And who had their steak served right well? This is me, thank you. I have my right well steak, thank you.
I still really enjoyed it. I guess some of that enjoyment was spoiled by like knowing a bit of what happens, but
you kind of like, I feel like you can't take that away from the movie.
No,
it's not the movie's fault. And like, also I will say, we identified this long before you even saw the movie.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like, I don't know how you're going to rate this. I'm very intrigued. Because there isn't an element of a letdown, it seems, but it also is at no fault for that letdown.
No,
you know?
I'm trying to think of what I don't like about it.
It'd be one thing if like Fincher did like a for your consideration, like, and he's holding up the box, like, you know, and all the editorials around Hollywood.
I think, you know, if you dig down too deeply into this, you'll find that doesn't go down, you know, that far really.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to rate it.
But did you have a good time with it?
Yes.
You said it went by very quickly.
Yes.
You had a lot of very positive things to say.
Yes.
I think it almost goes without saying, but like, almost every performance in this is fucking fabulous. And all the background characters, from Junior Soprano's lawyer to Governor Querns from Oz, like, you've got a who's who of HBO B stars filling out the ranks. So it is a impeccably cast movie, very moody throughout. I don't think it's aged in a way that a lot of the kind of like a lot of the Saw movies have stink of early 2000s.
Yes.
Whereas this still feels a little bit timeless because it's so kind of, you know, pioneering in that kind of vibe, I guess.
Bits of it have a faint whiff of 90s, but not massively.
Yeah.
This makes me want to watch Zodiac.
Oh, you'll fucking love Zodiac.
Yeah.
You'll fucking love it.
It makes me want to watch more Fincher. So that's good, isn't it? That's a positive
that's not bad,
takeaway from this.
And you know what? If we do our special 2014 best and worst swirl, I had to look at some of the between pre and post swirl here.
Yeah.
I had to look. You know, Gone Girl will be high up on that list. Finchy could be back in the saddle. Who knows?
Bit of the Finch. A little bit of the Finch.
Bit of the Finch.
All right. It was great. Really enjoyed it.
What rating is in the box? What's in the box?
I really want to give it 7 star wipes because that would be funny. But it's not a 5-star wipe, but it's fucking, it brings me closer to that.
Why isn't it? Before you tell me, why isn't a perfect movie in your mind? Mr. I never give 5-star wipes.
I do sometimes. I kind of wanted to. It's if I think about it too intently, but you don't actually. I don't know anything about all the people who were murdered. Maybe that's not the point. Maybe that would be too much. Maybe the fact that it's simple is a nice thing, and it's neat.
That was something you were praising it for sure.
Yeah. I don't like this. I don't like that.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Come on.
I may be wrong here. 4.5 star wipes.
You heard it here first, you motherfucker.
Oh, thanks for listening to another episode of Cinema Swirl. This episode was produced by Kevin, edited by me, Sam, and I also did the music. If you want to support the show, then patreon.com/cinemaswirl is the way to go. If you want to follow us on the socials, we're at CinemaSwirl on Twitter and facebook.com/CinemaSwirl on Facebook, which is where our votes for episodes take place. If you've got questions, queries, comments, or anything else for the mailbag, then send it on over to cinemaswirl@gmail.com. That's cinemaswirl@gmail.com. Please do keep recommending the show to your friends if you think they'll like it, or even if you don't think they'll like it, just recommend it anyway. Alright, we'll see you next time. Cheers, bye.